Breaking news 13 of August. Here in the nation's capital, a significant shift in law enforcement is underway. National Guard troops began arriving in Washington yesterday, following President Donald Trump's decision to federalize the city's Metropolitan Police Department. The move, which falls under the city's limited home rule powers, places the D.C. police and the newly arrived troops under federal command, reporting to Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stated Tuesday that the deployment is intended to end violent crime in our nation's capital as part of the president's massive law enforcement surge. According to the White House, approximately 850 police officers were surged across the city on Monday evening, resulting in nearly 24 arrests before the National Guard's arrival. The administration has framed this as part of a broader beautification effort for the Capitol, but the move has been denounced by local Democratic officials. This federalization of city policing is one of several assertive actions by the president in recent months that are reshaping power in Washington. For instance, the administration has also made a significant change at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. After July's jobs report showed a weaker-than-expected gain of $73,000, President Trump fired the BLS commissioner, Erica McIntarfer, a Biden-era appointee. He has since hired E.J. Antoni, the chief economist from the Conservative Heritage Foundation and a contributor to its Project 2025, which served as a blueprint for the second Trump term. Antoni has been an outspoken critic of the BLS, and his appointment signals a desire to reform the agency, though critics worry it could lead to the politicization of economic data. On the world stage, the president is pursuing high-stakes diplomacy, preparing for a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska to discuss a potential peace deal for Ukraine. President Trump has acknowledged the risks, stating he will know in the first 2 minutes if a deal is possible and is prepared to walk away if he deems Putin isn't serious. This follows a pattern of leader-to-leader negotiations, which have had mixed results in the past, such as talks with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, that did not lead to denuclearization. However, the administration points to recent successes, like brokering ceasefires between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Domestically, the administration is also pursuing a series of legal battles and investigations against political opponents. The president has openly called for criminal probes into figures from his first term's controversies and political rivals. Among those targeted are New York Attorney General Letitia James, who led the civil fraud case against him, and Congressman Adam Schiff. The president has also ordered investigations into officials from the Obama administration over the origins of the Russia investigation, and his own first-term cybersecurity chief, Chris Krebs. This approach, which critics argue erodes the traditional independence of the Justice Department, is defended by the administration as fulfilling campaign promises and holding opponents accountable. While the administration reshapes federal agencies, a major debate over healthcare policy is intensifying. A coalition of 22 Republican attorneys general is calling on the Trump administration to reinstate significant safety restrictions on the abortion drug mifepristone. In a letter to Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and FDA head Martin McCreary, the attorneys general argue the drug poses serious risks to women that are not adequately reflected on its current label. The letter, led by Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach, cites recent studies from the Ethics and Public Policy Center, a conservative advocacy group. These studies claim that serious adverse events from the drug are far more common than officially reported, and that its effectiveness is lower than claimed. The attorneys general are urging the FDA to reinstate a set of safety protocols known as a Risk Evaluation and Mitigation Strategy, or REMS. These protocols, which were in place as recently as 2011, included requirements for in-person doctor visits to prescribe and dispense the drug. These were later removed by the Obama and Biden administrations, allowing for telehealth consultations and for the medication to be sent by mail. The letter suggests that if these safeguards cannot be reinstated, the FDA should consider withdrawing mifepristone from the market entirely until a full review is complete. This call to action follows Secretary Kennedy's recent commitment to review the latest safety data on the drug. FDA Commissioner McCary had previously stated he had no plans to change mifepristone policies, but affirmed the agency would act if data revealed a safety issue. Mifepristone, used in combination with misoprostol, has been approved in the U.S. since the year 2000. The FDA maintains that its own periodic reviews have consistently found the drug to be safe and effective. Last year, the Supreme Court rejected a procedural challenge that sought to restrict access to the drug, though it did not rule on the legality of the FDA's decisions to ease restrictions. Medication abortions now account for more than half of all abortions in the United States, making this a pivotal issue in the ongoing national debate over reproductive rights. The policy shifts from Washington are also creating ripple effects that will be felt at the state level and in the nation's cultural institutions. State legislatures are now bracing for belt tightening as they prepare their 2026 budgets. The adjustments are necessary to accommodate fiscal changes outlined in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the fiscal year 2026 federal budget signed into law by President Trump on July 4th. This legislation introduces changes to federal tax codes and overhauls funding for several key state-administered programs, most notably Medicare, Medicaid, and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. According to a recent analysis by the National Association of State Budget Officers, the full impact on state coffers won't be immediate. Many of the law's most significant provisions are not scheduled to go into effect until late 2026 or later. This delay gives states a window of time to prepare. The report also notes that most states are in a relatively strong financial position, with most rainy day funds being well funded and current spending plans already lean. Nonetheless, state budget officers anticipate a challenging period of adjustment as they realign their spending with the new federal framework. Beyond fiscal policy, the administration is turning its attention to the nation's cultural narrative as the country approaches its 250th anniversary in 2026. The White House has ordered a comprehensive internal review of selected Smithsonian museums and their exhibitions. The stated goal is to ensure all public-facing content aligns with a presidential directive to celebrate American exceptionalism and promote a unifying national story. In a letter to Smithsonian Secretary Lonnie Bunch, the White House detailed its expectations for the review. It calls for an examination of museum websites, social media, and educational materials to assess their tone, historical framing, and alignment with American ideals. Officials say the review is intended to remove what they term divisive narratives and to restore trust in American cultural institutions. The directive comes as preparations for the semi-quincentennial celebrations ramp up, with the White House emphasizing that it is more important than ever that our national museums reflect the unity, progress, and enduring values that define the American story. The review represents a direct effort by the administration to shape how the nation's history and identity are presented to the public,